Okay guys, so let's start off with control account. A control account is basically a master or a total account for trade receivables and trade payables. So if I were to say what's the basic purpose of a control account, so I would say that I would draw control accounts to calculate one single for total trade receivables. So one job is to calculate your total trade receivables and our other job is to calculate total trade payables. So that's why I call it a master account, which is to combine all the trade receivables into one single account to calculate the total amount outstanding from trade receivables, and one single account to calculate the total amount outstanding towards your trade payables. So control accounts are essentially made for verification purposes. So coming back from your basic accounting cycle, once you've entered all the transaction in your day books, then you go to the next step where you prepare your ledgers. So if you guys recall from the basic accounting cycle, once the firm has prepared its day books, in the next step they would draw their ledgers, and using this ledgers they would draw their trial balance. Now in your ledgers, obviously you draw your sales ledger, which will contain the record of all your trade receivables. Then you would draw your purchases ledger, which would keep a record of all your trade payables. Now the reason why we draw control account is, and they're maintained for purchases and sales, is that we can compare and verify from the books of prime entry, which are your day books, and your ledgers, that whether we have arrived at the right answer or not. So like for firms, they would have hundreds and thousands of maybe trade receivables and trade payables, so there's a very good possibility there can be some errors as well. Our job over here using control account is to verify it. So let me illustrate this through an example. So let's say there's a firm and they sold goods to three different customers over here, A, B, and C. I've just made it simple over here. So in the sales day book, remember that's your day book where you record your credit sales. So all the credit sales are recorded over here. They sold goods worth 100 to A, 100 to B, and 100 to C. So the total sales were 300. Alright, and then you have your sales return day book, any goods that were returned by them. So let's say return goods worth 10, B return goods worth 15, and C return goods worth 5. Total sales return was 30. Then you have your cash book where any receipts are recorded. So the money that they paid us by the end of the year or the month. So let's say A paid us 15, B paid us 20, C paid us 25. So if you add that up, total receipt is 60. Now that's step 1, recording transactions in your day book. Remember, step 2 was to enter them in your ledgers. Ledgers are where you record their individual account. So A has an individual account, B has an individual account, C has an individual account. Now I've written down the sale of A is 100, it goes on the debit side, it's an asset, they have to pay me money, and anything that they do which will reduce my receivable will go on the credit side. So when they return goods, my receivable goes down. When they pay me, my receivable goes down. So A owes me 75, B owes me 65, and C owes me 70. So after that, a firm would draw something called a list of trade receivable. I'm just going to write down that STR. So they will write A owes them $75. You can write that over here. B owes them $65 and C owes them $70. That's the outstanding trade receivable. And I will add this up, which will give me 210. That's my outstanding trade receivable. Now what the firm has to do is they have to verify this number. They have to see whether this number is correct or not. Remember, a real firm would have hundreds of trade receivable many. So if there is any error, it means that your total trade receivable figure would be wrong, and then that incorrect figure would go to the trial balance. So our job of drawing a control account over here is to verify this number, that is this number correct or not. And to verify it, we will not use information from the ledger, we'll use information from the day books. So I can say that, for example, 300 is my total sale. I'll take my total sale figure from here. Total sales return is 30. I'll take this figure. total cash book is 60. I'll take this figure. And using that, I will draw a control account. So first, you guys should visualize this, that a control account is drawn to verify whether your list of trade receivable is correct or not. And if it's not correct, it means that there are some errors which we will address in the later videos. So we can say the uses of control accounts are they are an important part of reliability or a system to verify your ledgers. So it will help you in verification purposes. They will warn you if there are any possible errors, and it will obviously help you identify these errors. Alright, so they will also help you detect fraud. Right, so it is also possible that there is some fraud being done, which is why the person that draws the control account as the one preparing the list of trade receivables or trade payables, right, they'll also help you in calculating total trade receivable and trade payable. Alright, so which is why we have this internal check process over here. I've also explained point number 5. And you can also say one more thing, it will help us later onwards in calculating any missing information. So any missing information can be calculated using a control account. However, control account themselves may contain some errors. We will again highlight this in the later video, and they don't guarantee the accuracy of your ledgers. Alright, so just to summarize it up, the reason why we draw control accounts in first place is that they will help you verify the total balances in the list of trade receivable and trade payable. So it's one account or a master total account drawn to calculate total trade receivable and trade payable. So let's first understand how a sales ledger control account or a total trade receivable account should look like, and how a purchase ledger control account or a total trade payable account should look like. Okay, so a sales ledger control account, which I also call it to be a total trade receivable account, should look like this. Now first, you guys need to remember that trade receivable are your assets. So assets always increase from the debit side and they decrease from the credit side. So what you guys should look at is the following. If any transaction that increases my trade receivable, it means that because of this transaction, if I will get more money in the future, that will increase my trade receivable, it should come on the debit side. And any transaction due to which I'll receive a lesser amount, or it will reduce the trade receivable or the outstanding amount, should come on the credit side. Now let's take a look at that. So any outstanding balance or balance brought down will come on the debit side, because remember, they are your assets. Now let's say number 1, credit sales. What should credit sales do? If I sell more goods, trade receivables should pay me more. It increases my trade receivable. I should enter it on the debit side, right? Similarly, if trade receivables pay me off, then it reduces my trade receivable. It should go on the credit side. If I give my trade receivables any discount, I'll get a lower amount. It should go on the credit side again. If my customer return goods, it should again reduce my trade receivable because my outstanding goes down. If there's a bad debt, if any customer has defaulted, then obviously our outstanding goes down. It should go on the credit side as well. Now let's say if a check has been dishonored or has been bounced back. So if checks come over here and this check has bounced back, so we should again ask our trade receivable to pay us, which means that my outstanding goes up. So dishonored check should come on the debit side. It increases my outstanding. Alright, similarly, if I charge any interest, then trade receivables have to pay me more. Why should I charge interest? So I would do that in case my customers do not pay on time. So a firm would charge them interest, and because of that interest, they will have to pay you more. As a result, interest charge should again increase your trade receivable. If there's a cash refund that we have to pay, remember you've paid your cash over here, refund will come on the debit side. Since I have to offset the amount of cash paid to us, so to cancel it, I will write it on the opposite side, which is the debit side. Right now, I've left out few things which I want to discuss separately. One is this credit balance, or there's also a brought down on the credit side. This would only happen when a customer becomes a liability. Now, when can a customer becomes a liability? So remember this, guys, a credit balance, which we can also call to be a minority balance is because a customer is now a liability. This can only happen in the case, let's say, a customer has overpaid the firm, so the firm now owes them a service or has to pay them money back. A customer has returned goods after he has made his payment, so now the firm owes money. In that case, this customer becomes a liability. So similarly, how trade receivables are an asset, some customers can also be a liability for you, which is why I've written this over here. Now, there's one item that I've left, that's contra set off over here. Now, I'm going to explain this after purchase ledger control account. So, let me come back to purchase ledger control account, and after that, we'll do contra set off. Okay, so moving on to a purchase ledger control account. Remember, this is an account for total trade payables. Now, trade payables are your liability. So, what should happen with the liability? A liability should increase from the credit side and it should decrease from the debit side. So, again, I should ask this question: if any transaction that increases the firm's liability towards the supplier, that should go on the credit side, and any transaction that decreases your liability should come on the debit side. So any outstanding balance, you will start off from the credit balance, right? Any credit purchase, so if you buy more goods, your liability increases, you have to pay more. If you pay off your liabilities, your liability will decrease. If you get a discount, your liability will decrease, you will have to pay less. If there's a purchase return, your liability will again decrease. All right, so all transactions that can decrease your liability. This time, if you get a refund, right? So remember, your bank comes over here. So if you get a refund, it should come on the credit side. If you are charged interest, your liability increases because you will have to pay the supplier now. Why would you be charged an interest? Because you haven't paid your outstanding amount on time. Okay, before we discuss the contra part, again, this time you could have a minority balance for purchase ledger control account on the debit side. Now, what would that mean? It means that your supplier has a debit balance, it means it's an asset. So, over here, you have paid in advance, or maybe the firm has returned goods for which the supplier now owes the firm. So, now the supplier becomes an asset as well. So, how the majority of suppliers would be a liability, some suppliers could also be an asset where they are supposed to pay towards the firm. Alright, so you can have a minority balance on the purchase ledger control account as well. Now, let's discuss contra set off. Okay, so let's understand contra set off like this. Let's say the firm buys and sells as well from individual X. So, the firm and individual X are buying and selling from each other. So the firm also sells goods but also buys some raw material or any other part from individual X. It means that for the firm, individual X is both a trade receivable and a trade payable. Now let's say that towards the firm, X is a trade receivable and he owes the firm $500. But for the firm, X is also a trade payable and the firm is supposed to $300. Right now, how should they transact? So the easiest way out is that they will offset each other off by the lowest amount. In this case, the lowest amount is 300. So what we should do is we will subtract 300 from both receivables and payables. This will make this to be 0 and trade receivables will be 200. So what should happen is X should just pay us 200 and that's how we offset each other off. But in the accounting term, what you have to do is you have to create a contra set off worth 300, which is the lower amount, to offset both trade receivables and trade payables. Alright, so remember, contra is the lower amount outstanding, whether it's the trade receivable amount or the trade payable amount, in order to find how much does one party owe to the other party when they're buying and selling from each other. Alright, so remember, contra is this amount and this is the amount that has to be paid. That's the paid amount. So going back to your control accounts. Yeah, so now if we look at the sales ledger control account and the purchase ledger control account together, contra We'll go on the credit side of SLCA because remember, contra reduces your trade receivable and it also reduces your trade payable. So it should go on the debit side of the purchase ledger control account, since I have to subtract both these amounts from my trade receivables and trade payables. Now, once we can enter this, we can find our outstanding trade receivable balance. That's your balance carried down. This is the outstanding trade receivables at the end of the year, and this is the outstanding trade payables at the end of the year, right? And if you have any minority balances, we will also show that in the sales ledger control account. We could have a minority balance. This is a liability towards the customer, and this is an asset that is owed from the supplier. I will solve this in the next video, but that's how your sales ledger and purchase ledger control account should look like. You guys should go through this once.